Hi, guys. Let's
Hi.
get started with this freaking bloodbath. I'm just gonna sit like this. It'll be fine. Hi. Welcome to our panel, Fat Gatsby's Grudge Match, featuring Final Fantasy games. I don't know if any of you came to our panel like a couple years ago where we fought over Zelda games, but this is going to be like that. For those who know, I am Tim MAGFest of Fat Gatsby. This is...
I'm Dave Ottavino of Fat Gatsby.
This is...
I'm Darren DeMarco, aimlessly
That's
staring.
it. And on the end here, joining us...
Hello, I'm Jason Ford, Content Productions.
Jason Ford, Content Productions. Doesn't sound made up.
Darren DeMarco smiling politely.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so, Dave, your thing's up there, right?
There's a picture, right?
Yeah, you can see the bracket. Yeah, so what we've done here, in the sake of fun and discussion and celebration and degradation of the Final Fantasy series, we've decided to arrange the entire Final Fantasy series plus one wild card game into a 16-game tournament bracket. And what we're going to do is, along with your input down the road, we're going to argue our way down to try to figure out what the best Final Fantasy game is, and hopefully no one will leave the room happy. That's what happened last time, I feel like, with Zelda.
We're here to piss you off.
Like any good debate. So, Dave, what are we starting with? We got an hour and a half here, but we kind of got to burn through these. We got a lot of matchups.
Yeah, so what we have are the 15 mainline Final Fantasy games, the 15 numbered entries of the series that have been seeded according to their aggregate review scores from GameRankings.com. That is how we've arranged these matchups. Now, the tournament bracket has 16 games, so for our 16th game, we have elected to choose a sort of wild card Final Fantasy alike game. When we did this with The Legend of Zelda, we chose Darkstalkers as our 16th
Ciders,
game.
not Darkstalkers.
Darksiders.
That was
We chose silk stockings.
God, remember that show? So here, for our 16th wild card game, we've chosen Bravely Default as a potential Final Fantasy D.
I wanted Mystic Quest.
I voted for Mystic Quest, too.
So our very first matchup, and again, these games were arranged according to their aggregate review scores on GameRankings.com. Our first matchup of the night is...
There we go.
Look at this PowerPoint. I spent a lot of time on this PowerPoint, so...
He had to do something for this convention.
Final Fantasy VI versus Final Fantasy II.
All right, moving on.
Now, don't forget that you can vote for your favorites at fatgatsby.com/MAGFest 2018.
All right. So, I hate Final Fantasy II.
Yeah.
Like, you could put that up against literally any other game here, and I would pick the other game.
Even Mystic Quest?
I think, yes. I think it is worse than Mystic Quest. Mystic Quest, at the very least, like, while misguided, they were trying to get people into the Final Fantasy franchise, right? Like, that was the aim of the
Damn
game.
it, we are going to talk about Mystic Quest in this paragraph.
It's
And why
sneaking
is
in.
it even better
Yeah,
than
it's a
Final
litmus
Fantasy
test
II?
for every
But Final
game.
Fantasy II, I think, is the only game on this whole list that is just, like, bad. Like, straight up terrible. The battle system is totally broken, like, eschewing the use of, like, traditional leveling up and letting you just grind for hours at the beginning to get overpowered for the rest of the game. I guess I admire them for doing something different, for not just making a clone of the first game, but it's really rough to go back and play, and even at the time it felt pretty rough.
Yeah.
And Final Fantasy VI is an unbridled masterpiece and one of the best games in the Super Nintendo. So it's also like a really tough.
Right. You don't need to
matchup.
kiss that game's ass yet.
It's not
So
bad.
how many people in this room have played through to completion and enjoyed Final Fantasy II? Raise your hand if you finished it. No one?
Yeah, who's finished it and played it through to completion?
With maybe one? Two people. All right. I think that speaks volumes right there.
So I did as well. It's the worst mainline Final
It's the
Fantasy.
worst
Hands
game
down.
ever.
That said, I had a good time with it.
Are you going to
know,
explain that, or are you just going to...
Well, so I played it kind of back-to-back in the GBA compilation, Dawn of Souls. So first I played the first game, and that was a wonderful little, down memory lane,
that's a good one.
smoothed over a little bit. And then I played 2, secondly. And, I mean, yeah, it's different, and it makes a lot of bad choices that I don't like. But all in all, I didn't dislike the game. I certainly can't argue that it's any better than any other mainline Final
Can you name
Fantasy.
3 characters from that
No.
game?
No.
Furion. He sounds like a Flareon.
Yeah, he's a Pokemon.
Yeah, okay,
Right.
Flareon. Yeah, Flareon's in it.
Do crystals count as
I played it
characters?
on the PlayStation re-release. I didn't get very far into it. I think it's bad, and
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VI is pretty good. So I think this is pretty cut and dry. Anyone carrying a torch for Final Fantasy II in this room? No. Let's move on.
All right.
Final Fantasy VI moves on.
Final Fantasy
In a
VI
walk.
moves on to the next round.
Yay. All right, we got one right, I
What a
think.
grudge.
We're done.
Our next matchup, Final Fantasy IV versus Final Fantasy 14.
14.
Final Fantasy Roman numerals.
Now, I should note that for Final
a
Fantasy
good
14,
point.
here we are going with the Realm Reborn version and not the original edition released in 2010.
So this is a problem. This is like where one of my blind spots is, because I haven't played this or 11. But I really like Final Fantasy IV.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I also haven't played the MMOs.
Oh, crap.
I know there's a lot of love for 14, especially the re-release, but I don't know. Final Fantasy IV is fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's my favorite game. That's like my cup of soup. That's a good thing. That's like, it's a warming feeling. Yeah, this is like childhood reliving, playing that. And I've owned like every version of it, even the what was the one on the PSP? With everything included, the after years.
Oh, I think it
Complete
was Final
collection.
Fantasy IV.
Yeah.
That's the
Complete
afterwards.
The complete collection. I think even that, I know we're not counting re-releases and things like that, but even it adjusts a lot of things in the original version, even that were wonky, and that's the version I would tell someone to play if they haven't played this, and
What
to
about-
match up against.
Has anybody
15.
played the 3D remake, the DS
Oh,
Final
yeah.
Fantasy IV? How is
Yes.
that? I've not played it.
It's fine. So the things that are different. I mean, if you don't like that visual style, if you don't like chibi style,
I liked it, the Final Fantasy III remake they did.
Well,
So I
then
liked that
okay,
more.
so you probably wouldn't have a problem with that. They also put in voice acting, and they added this whole system of you know, if you do certain events, then you get these like they're almost like limit breaks to add to the different characters. So they added some other little bits and pieces to it, but it's the same. You played for the same experience,
didn't muck
but
it up.
I like the classic sprites. I kind of don't like when they change the scope like that.
Yeah.
Change the visuals weren't ever the problem for me
No.
with that game. So,
But-
still, I would pick that version of 4 if you gave me that over whatever Roman
Yeah.
numeral that
I always
is.
thought it was weird
14.
that they.
Well, who
made
here has
the-
played some 14? Yeah?
We have 14.
Yeah.
Make the case for 14.
Why is 14 dope? Anybody?
And yeah,
Or what?
call on.
Is 14 doper than 4?
Could anybody make a case that it could be? Yeah, okay,
Yes.
he's
Okay,
gonna
here we
do
go.
it.
A
Oh,
challenger.
shit, he's taking his jacket off. Oh man,
Cool.
they should put that on the box.
Yeah.
Never.
Lots of stuff.
That whole
So
thing.
I mean, those are valid, those are fine points because I think that whenever I hear people complain about 4, the complaint is, oh, you can only Riri is a summoner and she's only a summoner. The characters are locked in their roles throughout the game. I can't change their jobs. I can't even the first one. I could pick the class at the beginning, but I still think that's bullshit.
Yeah, I think that's only a complaint. If you come into the series at 7 or 8, like you don't learn like 4 and 6, like we're locked into your characters. 1 you were locked in once you picked it, right?
Right.
I think one of the strengths of the series as a whole, how it flips back and forth. Like between 4 and 6, you've got 5 where you've got the job
Yeah.
system you can do.
There's
whatever
just
you
no
want.
modifiers in 4.
Right.
Like, no, I want Cecil to be a black mage.
Cecil, man.
Yeah. Sometimes he's Cecil.
That's
It
true.
depends who
That's
you
true.
talk to.
But we got to move on. We got a lot more we got to do.
All right.
So I am reading the temperature room. So what do you think? 4?
4.
14? That one got, all right. 4 moves on. All right, I'm going to start timing these to make sure we're not taking too long.
Our next matchup, Final Fantasy X versus Final Fantasy 13.
Oh, shit. Is anyone saying 13? Bobby
okay.
and that guy.
I think 13.
Is anyone shouting boo earns?
I don't know if I go 13, but I definitely think 13 is a lot better than people give it credit for, at least in its reputation.
Yeah.
I think that the characters are pretty good. I think the battle system is really excellent. Like it's got some of the best boss fights in the series, especially as it goes on. It gets a lot of crap for being really linear for the first good chunk of the game,
Most of the game.
which is fair. But every Final
Yeah.
Fantasy game is awfully linear at the beginning. They just do a better job of hiding it. Like you may go out into the open world really early, but you can just go from like this cave to this cave. Now, Final Fantasy 13 doesn't do a good job of making it visually interesting because it's literally like a big wind, or like sometimes it's a winding line in each level. But I didn't have that much of a problem with it. I think where it falls apart for me is the plot gets a little up its own butt later on with the Lassie and the Fal'Cie and trying to understand exactly what's going
many
on with all that.
Cs.
But
Yeah, this is the one where Shiva is two women that turn into a bike, right?
yeah,
Okay.
you remember correctly.
Just checking.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds great, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's not the one where like your dad is a like anthropomorphic weird like
Spoilers,
water
by the
monster.
way.
Like, sure.
But
I'll say
13 doesn't have Blitzball though, which is a knock against it.
and
Blitzball is the
see,
shit.
you
That's
can't.
right.
No, you can't. I learned that you can't
17th
insult.
game Blitzball.
You can't insult Blitzball in a crowd like this. You're gonna get some. And I like the sphere grid. I don't know about you guys and gals.
I did
but
not like the spear grid.
You
Again,
didn't?
I think that's another
Sphere.
like the sphere grid is just this. It's like more work for me to do while I level up.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it's not like I can
It's
like.
something to do when you're bored of the fucking fly.
well, eventually
Yeah.
you get to break that game pretty hard
Yeah.
with that sphere grid.
Once you level all the way up,
Yeah.
or
You
get back
only-
to the center. That's true.
I will say I like 13, but out of it and its sequels, I think it's the worst one. It's just, it is really dull. It's more for me going, it's not so much the linearity, it's that for a lot of the early part of that game, you only have 2 characters in your party, and I feel like it doesn't really sing until you have 3
Yeah.
running around in battle, so it's just like feels really limiting, and the battles get repetitive
Did
early
you
on.
like any of the characters?
This is where I'm trying to remember them.
Somebody liked Hope.
They're okay.
There's that guy with the
They're all
chocobo in
right.
his hair. He rules.
I mean,
Okay,
like,
I was gonna say
10
you're the one.
10 is I don't know. I had a lot of fun playing 10.
Yeah.
I also.
I
had a lot
really
of
like
fun
the
playing
battle
10.
system with being able to tag people in and out on the fly. I like how easy it was to get your ultimate weapons and just really roll the end of the game. That was
Yeah.
really satisfying to just kill the last boss in 2 hits because he has to change forms.
Sure.
What I
Like-
didn't like about the battle system, though, was you only got XP with whoever was in the battle. So
Yeah.
you're sitting there like a crazy person, swapping everybody in and out before actually fighting. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe if you're just crazy
It's a
like
big
me.
I
fun
didn't do that.
Mixed tag match. When I realized that you could cast a lightning spell on Riku and she would scream, that's not like a weird thing. It's just something that happens in the game. It's hilarious. Go
I mean,
home and try it.
that game did lead to us yelling hornless at each other for a while on
That's
Eagle
true.
Street.
Yeah.
Hornless.
It gave us new insults. It redefined love. It gave us that laughing scene. I mean, this. See?
Woof.
Name a moment like that in 13. You
Did
can't.
they redo the audio for the HD re-release, or did they keep all that?
I think they kept all of it.
No, they have.
They had kept
Yeah,
all-
people would riot if they took that out.
It sounds like Final Fantasy X is taking it, but don't forget, folks, if you have really strong feelings about Final Fantasy 13, you can register your voice at Fat Gatsby. Follow the link at fatgatsby.com/MAGFest2018.
So there's one
Let's see.
thought floating around in there.
Yeah.
But I did hate dodging lightning in that game.
Yeah,
That's
so
a
we got to move
terrible-
on here in a second, but just take a quick temperature of the room. 10? 13? Yeah,
Yeah,
10. 10
yeah.
moves on.
I agree.
10.
Right.
Moving on.
Moving on.
Moving on. Our next matchup, Final Fantasy 12 versus Wildcard Bravely Default.
This is so hard.
12. Let's go. All right. begin the debate. All right, Bravely Default is here. This is not a Final Fantasy game.
No.
What if
that's
it's
wacky.
actually the
Wacky.
best Final Fantasy game though? It's at least the best Final Fantasy game to come out in some time.
That doesn't say much, but yeah. I would say it's the best one to come out since 12.
I love Final Fantasy 12. I cannot dunk on Final Fantasy 12. But Bravely Default is like the 5 sequel we all wanted. Like this wonderful use of the job system, this like crazy weird twisting plot. Anybody play through all of Bravely Default?
I have not played through all of it.
Bobby. Oh, a couple.
Played much of it.
There's cool. I don't know if I want to spoil the end. There's cool stuff that you do at the end as you're like replaying the. Like,
Oh, right,
world
that's a
again
thing you have to
again.
do. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You gotta
yeah,
do
to
some
like
runs
kill the
through- yeah,
bosses
right.
all again, and then yeah.
Boss rush.
I forgot about that.
All right.
And weird like plots like you replay bosses, but they've like got their abilities mixed up and they're in teams and it's so good. It's just like that handheld like old school RPG like I'd wanted for a long time.
Yeah,
Remember
I feel
when,
that.
Remember when 12 first came out? There was like resistance from some people because of what they changed up in it. Did
Well,
anybody
yeah, they played the
hate-
demo that was bad.
Right,
Yeah.
with those damn bats.
12's release was so weird. It felt like super understated because 10 had made such a splash. Like the new consoles were coming out, like, and it just kind of like slid under the radar. They changed so much, but it's really good. Like the active battle system is really good.
Well,
you
yeah,
can
that's
just
what
kinda
I-
let the game kind of play itself.
That's
like,
what I
during
want to
battle.
ask. Are the people that were disappointed with how... Are you being sarcastic again? Okay. Yeah.
You
go
may
ahead.
say something. Oh, wow.
Shit.
Oh.
He's getting it for the long game.
Yeah, jeez.
That's yeah.
Those are some excellent points. And as
No,
it
they're not.
stands right now on our online voting, we are at 50-50. Half for Final Fantasy
people.
12, half for Bravely Default.
No, maybe. Maybe if you get on your app and
On
vote.
the internet.
Oh. Well, then your voice won't be heard like most of the American people.
Got to get one of those AOL CDs. and
Yeah,
get
no,
online.
I love 12 because I love Matsuno games and I love Evilise, and that game hit
Yes.
me and Darren like a
All the judge stuff was
dump
awesome.
truck full of
Oh,
bricks.
yeah. When
Playing
that
that around the same
and,
time
like,
as Final Fantasy
just-
Tactics
yeah.
Advance was super cool.
Very fond memories of that fall, winter of me like coming home from work being like, I don't want to cook. I just want to play Final Fantasy 12 all night. And
Yeah.
eating these delicious like honey barbecue chicken wings from the Chinese place down the street. Like real specific memory here. It was such a good deal. It was like
Right.
$4.
The wings were
You got
DLC
these big
from the
juicy
game.
wings.
Yeah, they were
And
included.
I have no food memories associated with Bravely Default.
I don't know. I had really good pho one time
But
playing
just
Bravely
like
Default.
in
so-
12, like all the hunts, all
were
of the side stuff. Like I loved everything they did with that game. I wish the characters were more different. I wish that they had
Yeah.
done something. Like I always say, I wish they had tied in like the characters' limit break style attacks into their weapons, so you had a reason to like specialize on a weapon or try to specialize a character in any way, shape, or form. Because as it was, they, eventually at some point they just had all the licenses in the world.
I had the same complaints, and I mean, I didn't connect with any of the characters. It was very like Final Fantasy midriff costume choices. So it wasn't my that part of it I didn't enjoy, but I did like. It took me a while to get the hang of the battle system, and I still didn't love it, but I think I just got to a point where I understood it enough, and it became Final Fantasy hunts.
Yeah,
After a
yeah.
while.
I mean, I recall you did everything except for like 2 hunts in
The
that
last
game, right?
two,
Yeah,
the
last
one
two.
that takes days to beat. I had no interest.
Yeah, but I mean,
in
for
doing
me,
that.
we're gonna have to wrap this up here in a second.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, I love Final Fantasy 12, and I didn't finish Bravely Default. But let's say, okay, temperature of the audience: Final Fantasy 12. Oh, Bravely Default.
Oh man,
Look at these hands.
We're just
God.
louder. What's the voting say?
maybe you have to
Voting
count.
is loading.
Voting is
People.
loading.
Maybe we have
It's
to.
a flood of votes coming in for Bravely Default. It's crashing the system.
Maybe we should have like a.
That's weird.
Yeah, we got check registrations. Hold on.
The voting
Do
is
you have
not
a
working.
question or a
The voting
comment?
is not
Voting is
functional.
not working. It's
Hold
not
on.
interesting. What?
Oh. Does anybody want to tackle that? No. No. Anybody? Anybody?
Oh, wait. We've got a third response.
What's up, Dave?
Final Fantasy 12.
No.
I want you voting on
Oh,
there.
really? Wait,
I
what?
don't know.
Did only 3 people vote in the
This
online
worked
thing?
really well last time.
Uh-oh. You should just count people. Or, like, level clapping.
Should we vote up here? And
Oh,
have
I
us be
say
the
12.
tiebreaker?
I say 12.
I'm going to go with 12.
I'll go bravely default.
Of course you would.
Oh,
yeah.
no, Dave.
I go bravely default too.
Yay!
I don't even think Bravely Default should be here. That should be Mystic Quest spot.
No.
Doesn't even
Just
belong
got
here.
another response. Just
It embodies
registered.
the spirit of
responses
old
are ready.
games.
Voting is working, people.
Look how
Voting
Voting
is
is
working.
working.
Look how quickly we approved 4 and 6. This is right there in that mold.
I'm so okay.
Texas
why.
Great Dirge of Cerberus.
Yeah, I think that's why it's not in there, because it would beat everything.
Okay, I'm sorry, everyone. Okay. What we didn't realize is that there are multiple pages of questions, and then the submit button for your voting is at the very end. But you don't have to answer all the questions right now. You can just
He's
register
so
your
sad.
choice. I know. Hit the next button until you get to the end. We'll keep filling in the things. It doesn't mean you can't vote again. You can always go back and vote for your choices.
There we
Fingers
go.
So-
crossed.
What?
But oh man, Bravely Default is starting to take it, you guys.
Yes,
Hang on,
everybody
we
vote.
gotta do a thing. Hang on.
Oh no.
All right, if you're gonna get in
Everybody
there,
vote.
we're gonna put it on
Starting to
that.
come.
Hang on, where did I put my stopwatch at? I'm gonna give it like 30 seconds for everyone to get in there and vote. Vote.
Oh,
vote.
man.
Vote. Vote. Darren, go vote for Final Fantasy 12.
Oh,
Wow, this is tighter
There's
than I
no
thought it was
need.
gonna be.
there's no need?
10. 20 seconds left.
What's the website?
Oh my God.
Oh, wait.
You're not gonna make it in time.
There's cute pictures on Facebook.
All right, only 10 seconds left. 10, 9, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Refresh that page. Who won?
It is Final Fantasy 12.
Final Fantasy 12.
Fantasy 12 takes it.
The silent voting majority.
All right.
Press F to pay respect. I like how you chose the interact button from PUBG.
Final Fantasy 12 takes our matchup. And so the next matchup, we
more pure that
have Final Fantasy 9 versus Final Fantasy 5.
That's so hard.
9, what'd I say? Oh,
It's 9 versus 5.
9
All
versus
right.
5.
Okay.
9 to 5.
All right, I hear hands ringing at the end of the table.
Yeah.
I think this is a really hard one. Final Fantasy V is an incredible game. You know, while 3 introduced the job system, 5 is the one that really refined it. You know, we were all talking before about how good tactics is. Like we owe, you know, how great that game is. I think to what was set up and established here in 5. You know, it's kind of these 2 games are interesting because 5 is kind of the end of like this first 5 series of games where the crystals play such a big play and they're kind of destroyed in 5, and we kind of move on to what's going to happen later. 9 comes in now after 6, 7, and 8, bringing back the crystals one more time. You know, locking in the characters, kind of a sweet like. I don't know, nod back at the series before it's just going to start to go wonky with 10 and the online games and stuff like that. Both I think are really fun to play. You know, 9's battle system is really interesting. The way kind of abilities are tied into items and stuff.
I
and you
hate
gotta
that.
level it up. I think
I
it was.
hate that.
It became a little cumbersome.
Hate it.
But I liked it quite a bit.
I also hated that in Tactics Advance. It drives
Oh,
me
yeah.
nuts.
That's right.
Because I'm
They
always
did bring
using
that
old
back there.
items to finish like learning skills.
It's cool, yeah. Like
Yeah,
you're like,
no, it's
okay,
so
do you
boring. I'm
do you want to
using
learn that
underpowered
skill, or do
equipment.
you want to get the better item? You had to make hard choices,
Ugh.
or just go grind. But I think I'd go 5. These are favorites for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think as many things there are that turn me off about 5, you know, there's the end game, the villains, you know, it never really connected with X Death,
Yeah.
the tree.
Yeah, I don't think the overall story is as good as some of the others.
There is right, but I was going to get to that. But then on the other end, you have Kuja. You know, I don't see a lot of Kuja cosplays around here either. And your character in main character is
I want
named
some X-Death
Bart's
cosplay.
and or Butts. You know, and I didn't love any of the characters either. But the core of both that games that people keep bringing up is the mechanic, and I love the job system. And I mean, I was annoyed too at 9 where you had to keep learning from the same weapon. What do you? I
Yeah.
mean, what's the theme of all the Final Fantasy games? You get the new piece of equipment, or you get
Right, the stats go up. the
badass
numbers go up.
sword,
The
so you
numbers
can
get
equip
bigger.
it immediately and use it. But no, you have to. You know, Dagger has to keep using a stupid knife because you're not done learning
Yeah.
a skill yet. So, I would go with 5. Absolutely, I replayed it the most. Last time I played through 9, I didn't connect with it as much. I didn't like the story as much the second time around either.
I don't have strong opinions on either one of them personally. Neither one of them are like personal favorites for me. The thing with the items always drives me nuts about 9.
Yeah.
Like I think 9 is probably my least favorite of the PlayStation era ones.
Wow.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, we're gonna throw down later. Wait till you figure out what one my favorite is.
Oh. Is it the one that like de-incentivizes you from using magic the whole game?
But yeah, 5 is just like such a neat thing. Even if it, we got it so late with the job system, and it always kind of had this mystical aura around it.
Yeah,
Just
that's
because we
so
didn't
true.
get it.
Yeah. As
Yeah.
soon as you learn the numbering was screwed up on SNES, you're like, why
Yeah.
not 5? Why couldn't they get it?
Yeah.
Why couldn't I handle it?
Yeah,
Oh.
like I never
That's
finished 5,
why.
but I just that job system is great. So I'd say 5 personally. Yes,
Yes.
you may, please. Oh.
Five or 9?
Are you
Not
about
9.
nine,
talking about
sure.
9?
Yeah. Five's characters and story is definitely a weak point. Yeah, Vivi is one of the best characters like ever. Yeah.
See, that's
Yeah.
good. This is why we need
this is
more
tricky.
conversation
Opinions, yes.
from the
Corey.
audience too.
Drop some signs.
As much as I love 9, and this is a great 9 frame, if there is one character I absolutely freaking loathe, wanted nothing to do with.
Oh,
and
boy.
eventually Later in the game, you're pigeonholed into using everyone in your party, and it was like the big blue queen of us. This character is useless, and it's no the blue mage. Anyone can be a blue mage. Why did it have to be this?
In 5, anyone can be a blue mage.
So I think I should inform our panel here that thank you, audience, thank you so much for going online and voting because it really helps inform the final decision get made because overwhelmingly, by a huge margin, 80 to 20%,
Wow.
the audience has pretty definitively chosen Final Fantasy IX.
9?
Oh
Yay,
my
9?
Wow.
Like to the
Anybody
point-
out there 5? Yay. No, okay, yeah. Well, we are outvoted in this room. 9's
Really
got to
outvoted in
move
this
on.
round.
Yes.
9 moves on.
9 has to win.
All right.
Oh
Nine's
my
got
god.
it.
All right.
9 is a great game.
9 is a great game.
He's a monkey.
All right, moving on.
right.
Next.
Our next matchup, Final Fantasy VIII versus Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
Yep.
Final
Yes, it is.
Fantasy Excel spreadsheet takes this one.
So, man, Final Fantasy 15 is a weird game.
It is weird.
It is so
What?
weird, and there's really
Dudes eating burgers
I
and
don't
trucks.
know if there's
That's
anything
weird.
about it in particular that I love. I appreciate how strange it is.
Yeah, I like the characters and the setting a lot. I like how bold it is, how different it is from
Yeah.
the rest of the series. I do not much like playing it.
Yeah, that's
It's
the
a
problem.
little- it's
that
a
one.
little tiresome.
Playing it. Like it's really
Now, when you're saying weird, as our friends comment on 9, are you referring the functionality, the playability, or also the story?
Yes.
Is weird.
Yep.
Is that okay? All
Yeah.
the above.
Yeah, well, there is a story. I've gathered
Lovely
kind of
lady.
after I finished the game that there was a lot of nuance to that world and the characters that I missed out on for not watching the
Yeah,
anime
I think they were like,
stuff
oh
and-
shit,
and-
here's this
and
movie
the
and free anime to contextualize our
and,
game.
you know,
Please.
but also it's like, you know, it's a road trip thing, which is cool. It's also Final Fantasy, but you know, you're rolling around in a convertible with your boys.
You're saying you prefer romance to bromance. That's what I'm hearing
well,
here.
The reason I
Given-
asked,
given these two
But I think it's
matchups.
cool because there is, like, in that world, there is a lot of, like, interesting places off to the side to explore, and there's some really neat moments in that game. But it's like, yeah, I'm just so lost with the story. I didn't get into the battle system, and I really like Final Fantasy games.
yeah. So the reason I asked about weird is like, you know,
8's weird, too.
they're all somehow met up after growing up in the orphanage.
Yep.
And there's Moombas,
Yeah.
and there's the Laguna
Yep.
side story.
Yep. Yep.
So that's
But I really dug playing Final Fantasy VIII. I liked the
me too.
junction system as soon as I figured out how, like, amazingly you can break the game with that. It was so
Mm-hmm.
much fun.
What'd you think of Squall?
He's got a
A sword.
sword. It's also a gun. That's pretty dope. And he's got
Look at
that
that jacket.
scar.
Yeah. What about the love story? Did that pull any heartstrings
Oh
for
yeah,
you?
I mean, yeah,
Because that was
no, I think what
I totally had a thing
Oh.
for Quistis. Just want to say.
Triple
Yeah.
Throw that
triad.
out there.
oh yeah, triple triad, yes, triple triad with
Yeah, someone-
Quistis. Everyone-
Yes, back there with a hand up in the gray. That's you. Yep.
They bought it.
I'm with you there, my friend. I didn't dislike 8, but it was the first one that failed to hold my interest, and I couldn't finish it.
Man, strong words from David Ottavino. I think it says something that it left enough space for this online theory to exist that Squall's dead the entire game.
Yes.
So, no, somebody doesn't like that. Oh, I'm not saying I like it. I'm just saying it exists. All right.
You there, the small girl in the front row.
There's some questions.
You all know my name. I didn't even like watching it. Like I want for how to play it. I love persons who like music in the series. But this was so boring. I couldn't even watch it. And then we're all trying to go into the middle of fucking nowhere, and it's just like no one in automotive truck's gonna wear that.
Oh, because she
I don't know. If we're gonna talk about logical clothing, all 16 games on this list are immediately disqualified.
All right, Dave, I see you looking at the polls. The results coming in.
Again, the polls sort of somewhat less overwhelmingly, but still 71 to 29%. The winner of matchup 6 is pretty clearly Final Fantasy VIII.
Yep. Good.
All right, next.
Our next matchup, Final Fantasy VII versus the original Final Fantasy.
I can't
All right.
imagine that 7 won't take this, but it's a real shame.
No. See, you should.
Because Final Fantasy 1's great.
You should right. So you should start this conversation
Yeah.
with who has the case for the original Final Fantasy being tops over 7, or somebody that has things they don't like about 7.
Oh, I got
That
things I don't
should-
like about
Yeah, of
seven.
course.
Hold on. But that's the audience, Kevin.
The one thing I kind of hate for the Final Fantasy is that it's kind of like a vertex. So much of what remains identifiable about the series is there.
In the first.
It's crazy going back and playing it, how fresh it feels. Mm-hmm.
It's so much dissembled, and that's like a really significant thing from a genre perspective. That said, you know, it's an old game.
So 7 is still. That's true. Some of us.
It's
It's
a 20-year-old
it's 20
game,
years
Kevin.
old. That is an old game.
I mean, and I'm saying this is somebody who voted for Final Fantasy VII. I think Final Fantasy is an incredible.
Yeah. It's incredibly replayable. It's rewarding on multiple playthroughs because you can kind of pick weird party members. More so than a lot of at least
Except
of
the
the three
thief.
NES claims. That's true. Yes.
No one picks a thief.
See, this is, I guess, what tears me up is that, like, the original Final Fantasy is honest. You know, it's kind of busted and clunky. It's the remakes of Final
Dawn
Fantasy
of
1 that I
Souls.
really
Yeah,
love.
Yeah, the Game Boy remake and the
'Cause-
PSP remake's really good too.
Yeah, it's like, you know, they smoothed out a lot of things. They fixed a lot of spells. They made it so you could buy more than a single potion at a time. Like, that alone is like a breakthrough
Yeah,
of
that
me
was-
sitting in the freaking Elfin Kingdom buying all Maha potions one by one
Yeah.
before I go into that damn marsh cave
Right.
and get smoked by some wizards.
Yes. Oh,
But
terrible
yeah, it's like-
memories.
7, you know,
But then you also
I
have
also
to,
don't think has aged terribly well.
7
Right.
looks rough, man.
it
Those
looks
cube
rough.
hands.
boxes for hands.
The translation's infamously bad.
Yeah. It's a fun game. Like
It is.
like
That-
putting gems on your weapons. There's like a lot of fun
Yeah.
stuff to do in
this
that
guy's
game.
still sick. Right.
That guy is so sick.
That-
yeah,
that I-
Sephiroth throws a water balloon at you and then flies away laughing.
The materia system, I think, is really good. I wonder if it gets around some of the things you don't like about 9, how you would get better weapons, but you have to make choices like, oh, this weapon's a little bit better, but this
doesn't
one
have
is
many slots.
full of slots, so I can use more magic and stuff like that. And you can switch stuff around, but how much you've leveled up each materia stays, so that's really cool. Like,
And there's a ton to do. I mean, you could find the summons. You could go
The-
chocobo racing.
Chocobo
for
racing's
how many
fun.
hours?
yeah.
Okay.
The music is incredible.
You have to be in the wall market for a while and find hair and a dress.
Yeah, you
Breeding chocobos is so weird.
It is. It is.
you the smallish girl in the front row again. Tina.
I think with 7, he did have Ivan Children, and I think that ended up have a lot of other implications.
Totally.
Yeah.
We have
But I mean, I think it was like, yeah, I don't know about the older one.
Oh, you youngins.
But like, I really got brought into it with oh, this is really cool, and then going into
I've never. Yeah, that's actually the first I've heard somebody's gateway drug is Advent Children. The Sephiroth. That's what. Is that what did it for you? Oh yeah. Once that heavy metal version kicks in, man. Yeah, that just hooks you. Some people don't like Sephiroth. Is that true? He's a god.
He,
Why does anybody in seven do goddamn
there's a reason it's just never really fleshed out. Like he comes from Genova and then he's mad.
He's summoned. You're right.
He kills the snake.
I would rather
He's a snake
Here.
murderer.
Dave,
Right.
fire away.
I would rather play the original
Yes,
Final
spoilers for a
Fantasy
20-year-old game
than
may
Final
be here
Fantasy
in this
7
panel.
any day of
Oh,
the week.
okay. So if everybody,
I understand that a lot of people love Final Fantasy 7, and that's great. That's wonderful. That's fine. But it is a lot like 6, but not as good in
shit.
terms of anything that it does. Whereas the original Final Fantasy is, compared to the rest of the series, pretty different. It's very much its own thing, and especially those remakes that smooth over those rough edges do a great job of making it. It accomplishes being its own thing.
so
Well, let's-
take
hang on,
take
we gotta-
it.
I vote for Final
We got to
Fantasy
wrap
1
this up.
hard.
Well, this one.
All right.
Jays, what do you say?
I vote 7.
Darren?
Yeah, I'm gonna vote 7 as well.
I'm gonna say 1.
Oh man, Dave's
I'm
gonna say
also
one.
going to say 1.
Man.
And
All
so,
Audience 7? Whoa. You can make noise. It's cool. We're all here. 1? Uh-oh. How's that voting look?
by a fairly narrow margin, 60 to 40%, this round is taken by Final Fantasy 7. I'm not surprised, but I am surprised about how tight
The
this
margin,
is.
yeah. Because Final Fantasy 1's good.
It is. It is.
Like,
I really like it.
yeah,
I
the-
just want to say that.
Our,
Also, yeah, it's good.
our next and final matchup for the first round.
Oh man.
Final Fantasy 3 versus Final Fantasy 11.
I've beaten 3.
I bought that stupid modem for the PS2. to play this game, and the giant box it came in, and we couldn't get it to work. Ben tried. Ben's in the front row. He tried really hard, and it wouldn't work. So, by default, now okay, Final Fantasy III.
Yeah,
also was remade.
It was remade, and
in
that's
that
the way
same
I played
style.
it. And I remember playing it on the DS. I was shocked that it was ever an NES game. Like, it feels incredibly ambitious. I don't know how much they added to it. I mean, besides the visuals, of course. It's a tough one. They're really brutal on the save points in the game. It took me a long time to finally finish it because you have to do the last dungeon all in one go, and it takes like 3 hours. It's a mess. So dying on that final boss the first time was like, had to step away for a few days before doing it
Yeah,
again.
I liked that they had they had the job system.
Yes,
in
it
certain
starts the
cases,
job system,
but
and it's full. It's pretty well realized. You know, it's not as
Yes.
complex as it gets later on.
the
but
thing I liked about it is that they situationally used it too. Like you needed a party of dragoons.
Exactly,
Or things
yep.
like so I did. But as far as the story, like who has memorable. I'm trying to keep that in mind because that's an important part of all these games.
yeah, I
is-
don't remember much about the story.
Right, so that's what I'm curious. Or do people have connections
Yeah.
to, or
it's-
remember what the story of Final Fantasy III is? And I think that's telling if nobody does.
I don't like Final Fantasy 3.
What
I've never
don't you-
played
what don't you
11.
like about
I'm
it?
probably going to vote for 11, having never played it,
man.
because I don't like Final Fantasy 3.
Okay, you played one of these.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I have played one of them. Yeah, sure.
What about
I heard
what,
nice things about 11.
What about the 11 fans in the room?
I'm just not much of an MMO guy.
Are there any?
Whoa, what
There's a
Mahoney?
couple.
So this was, I played 11, but because stationed down in Marine California, we had alternating cruise ships going on. And one guy had it, and so somebody got off ship, and he was playing this account all the time, playing between those two people. I don't like it, the fact we just got 20, 30 times playing. It was literally that was it.
I think that's what games are supposed to be.
Wow, you,
We had this character going around, and every time you'd run and start showing like your spot, and somebody would start saying like, "No, I've actually gone this entire way on my own." And you never learn how to do stuff.
so is your argument that you loved playing games with these guys so much it could have been any game? It just happened to be Final Fantasy 11.
Thinking that my mother was actually, I kind of actually appreciate the fact that it wasn't story.
Ah. You liked the Final Fantasy with no story.
Were you ignoring the story, or was it not
Was
there?
it right? Did it not exist, or did you?
I think it exists. I bet you something existed
Yeah.
there, Mahoney.
It's like you're also describing the Marines at the same time.
You're just talking about being a Marine.
All right. Well, what's the voting look like, Dave?
Oh, crap.
Give me a chance to update. Sorry. The voting at this point between Final Fantasy III and Final Fantasy XI is overwhelmingly for Final Fantasy III by a margin of
Hey.
75 to 25%.
Not
jeez.
surprised
All
on that
right.
one at all. Okay.
Clearly
That's what
takes
people are
it.
saying.
All right,
That's
if
fine.
things gonna
We'll
get-
we'll get rid of Final Fantasy 3 in the
All
next
right. So, folks, I'd just like to remind everyone that I am hustling as fast as I can to update the coming matchups for the next round. So you should be able to go and vote for most of those. I'm going to update our last matchup between Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy III right now. So please, by all means, go ahead and start voting for our next heat.
Hey, what's next? What should we be talking about, Dave?
Well, so our next match, in the next heat, the two victors of the
Oof.
first, this is a tough one, folks. This is Final Fantasy IV versus Final Fantasy VI.
That's mean. Why do we have to do this so early?
Yeah, this. So this is like my two favorite games. I have to
Right.
choose between children now. This is difficult. That's
Man.
for now. Boy, I don't even want to kick off this conversation.
I like 6 more. They're both great, but I like 6
Yeah.
still more.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like,
For
I
me.
actually think there are parts of 6 that make it better. I'm just saying my
I know.
my favorite.
We've been over
sport.
this
So that's
many
that's
times.
the
You
tough-
and I, sir.
It's tough.
Time to get into some nitty gritty. I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. All right.
This is it. We're in the shit now.
Yeah, they're both like anything I say about one also applies to the other. Like I guess most things I say that I would love about Final Fantasy VI also apply to Final Fantasy IV, just not quite as much.
Yeah,
Right,
I
like,
think
like an amazing cast of characters.
Right.
6 probably a little bit better.
You know, a great story that made an impact on me as a
right, but
As a young
I
man,
also,
but-
you know, the number one thing argument people have thrown at me about my favorite game that I think it does hold up a little bit is the whole Star Wars swerve ending,
Sure.
where there's a different alien that had
Oh.
mind, you know, spoiler, that
what?
was mind control. It wasn't.
Oh,
Gold,
yeah,
it
yeah,
was
oh, yeah,
Erroneous
yeah.
at the end.
What?
Like, oh, you know,
Yeah,
he's
I
out
know.
of nowhere. Same thing. I guess you can make that argument. Cloud of Darkness too.
Yes.
3, but you know, and that's the thing that I guess holds up because in 6 you are building to that fight with Kefka the whole way, and you get this huge masterpiece with an
Right.
accompanying musical
And Kefka, like,
opera along with it that culminates.
yeah.
I think a little better, but I just have 2 fond memories of 4, so it's tough for me to pick between the 2. So maybe audience.
I loved how
Get some
open.
audience.
Well,
opinion.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
let's get
feel-
you people involved.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Well.
that was to trick you when you wanted
Oh,
to play
yeah.
Final Fantasy VII.
Right.
It's false sense of security.
But yeah, I think I like the fact that everybody can support everybody in their party was there for a specific story reason, and I think that made it a little more authentic for me, although the things are awesome. So I think I get excited.
I mean, I think they did it because, you know, obviously in the second half of Final Fantasy VI, there's only 4 characters that you need
you have to have.
pick up. So they have to make things very flexible. And I think they do a good
Yeah.
job with that
Sure,
with, you know, the different characters' affectations for saying things in certain situations. But
Right.
it's that second half that I just, like, love of Final Fantasy VI because
The
it's so
openness.
open and crazy and, like, just
Yeah,
revisiting all these
it's really
locations you were
disruptive
at
to the whole formula.
a second time to see what happened. Yes, there, sir. Yep.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Four doesn't just introduce like a really compelling story to it too. Like it does things with the battle system. Like that's the first one with active time battle, right? Like something that'll stay for the
Yeah.
rest of the series and is a really
Correct.
cool way to make battles feel a little bit more fluid, a little faster.
Yeah, and I think they did a thing I think they did really well in 4 also kind of pacing the learning pace of things and the way you acquire spells and weapons. There's really not a point unless you sit there and grind forever. There's really not a point where you can be completely overpowered at different sections of that game. Of course, you could say the same thing about 6, but you do have
Talk to our friend Chase about grinding.
right. Oh, and I did it too.
Yeah.
I maxed out everybody, but you know, in learning things from Magicite, you and using the bonuses and stuff, you can kind of craft your characters in certain ways. Like, and there's some brokenness in 6. Like 7's magic stat starts really high. You can keep giving him magic bonuses, and all his attacks are magic based. But you think you should, you know. Anyway, so
right. So how are we voting up here?
I'm gonna vote 6.
I'm going with 4.
Of course you're going with
I
4.
know. I have to. It's my
6.
Baby. It's my only baby.
6.
Audience?
The
4?
Oh.
6?
Oh man.
The polling agrees
hard.
online.
Agrees.
There is an alternate
64.
universe bracket where these are 1 and 2. I feel like
probably.
where they-
Yeah.
But 64% of the vote, it's Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah, 6 moves on.
All right, all right.
So the next matchup is
10.
Final Fantasy X versus 12.
10 and 12.
12 all day.
I hear a lot of
12.
There's a lot of 10 murmuring
Robert,
in the crowd.
Robert, you have an incredulous look on your face. Robert, would you believe while you were not here, 12 barely made it out of the first round?
I am astonished and disappointed.
What do you
is
like about
that?
Final Fantasy 12?
Yes. I literally cannot think of anything that is bad about it.
About 12.
Yes, it is excellent. The fact that it is putting it to 10. If there is any kind of competition, they come here for the future of humanity.
Well,
God-forsaken vacuum of human soul to think 10 is in any way comparable to the masterpiece that is FF12.
Robert, tell us how you really feel.
I can't without profanity.
You're in a safe space. Well, does anyone feel the opposite?
I think
Okay.
No.
Final Fantasy X is
Robert,
an extremely
don't turn
popular
I know that
game.
12 is a very divisive game.
Yeah.
Yeah, clearly.
Not on this panel, it sounds like. But maybe.
Not up
maybe
here,
in the
but out
world at
there,
large.
yeah.
Yes.
The divide is like, yeah.
I mean, I put pretty equal amount of hours into both of these.
Oh, yeah.
Is the thing.
Yeah, I played through all.
You know,
all
I
that
broke
stuff.
that sphere grid. I busted it wide
Wide
open,
open.
got those clear spheres, and overpowered everybody. I put a lot of time. We had like over 112 hours in 12
Yeah.
as well. So I put equal time in, but I mean, we just talked about a lot of this story stuff in 10, and we went over what we liked about 12.
The mechanics of 12 are just so good.
The chessboard.
Yeah.
I don't know.
For me, it's having the world of 12 to explore. And, yeah, like. that's a-
Streamlining combat to let you explore that world. So
Yeah,
you're
well-
not just like stuck in like.
Yeah, you don't have to
grinding
jump,
things.
but it's, that game, we talked a little bit about the hallway model of exploring in some of the Final Fantasy games. That is not Final Fantasy 12 because
No.
it's within like an hour getting that game, you can be running off, trying to kill that killer tomato thing, trying to do that hunt, and already diverting from the main story. And really from there, you can just start walking. You're going to die, but you
Right,
can start
but you can
exploring.
go.
Yeah, it's the game kind of cordons you off from going to places later on in the game by putting monsters there that will just kill you, but you can still go places. And that's something that I love about games. I love games that want to try to kill me to keep me from going places.
I mean,
Yes, hand, yes. Okay. Put the knife away, Robert. Yeah, it has Titus.
Yeah.
Yes, you may,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
10 does have very good
Oh,
music.
no. Boo.
I don't know.
That
That
is insane.
Xanarkin theme is pretty. It's pretty.
Yeah, 10 has excellent music. I would
I
say
put
would be my
that
favorite
on
game.
and
No.
cry in
Oh
my
my
bathtub
God.
sometimes.
The music in 12 is incredible.
No, you hate that one? It's okay. Yeah. All right, settle down. That's no.
I remember that.
Those were dark days.
Oh gosh.
Those were
How
dark-
is this room feeling? Final Fantasy 10?
Jeez.
I don't like this room anymore. 12? Oh,
Yay!
no.
How do we vote up here on the panel?
Oh, 12.
12 for sure.
12.
Yeah, I gotta give that just a 12.
You say 12? I also give the edge to 12, but unfortunately, panelists, Final Fantasy X takes it with a whopping
Whoa.
92% of the vote.
I'm not surprised at that.
Final Fantasy X.
Two
moves
Xanarkin.
on.
2 Xanarkin.
I'm guessing.
go.
I'm guessing that is because 12 just hasn't gotten as much play.
Hornless.
I know.
I agree that it's really divisive, but
All right, next.
oh, they're so good.
Our next matchup is
God shows lightning bolts.
It's down here. It's Final Fantasy IX versus Final Fantasy VIII.
Oh boy.
All right, 2 love stories.
All right, so one of
Face to
these games
face.
has an amazing card game. The other does not.
Oh,
It has a card
oh,
game,
That's right.
but like pure, like that's really as far as you need to go with these two games. And that Triple Triad alone is better than Final Fantasy IX.
I need you to tell. I need you to tell me why you like the junction system because I think it is atrocious. I think only 2 has a worse battle system. Like
Then 9?
then I think I like 9's battle system quite a bit. I mean, it's,
Oh, okay.
I think 8 has an awful.
Oh,
Like-
junctioning and
Yes.
drawing.
Yes.
The thing I don't.
It de-incentivizes you from using magic the whole game. It's so weird.
No.
Yes, because if you use magic, then your power level goes down. You
But
have
it's
those
not that
consumable
hard
points.
to get the stuff you need.
Man. Yeah, it's all
That's
just like
the
boring
thing. Is
attacks
like
and
I will
summons.
say that like drawing is not fun. It's
not.
pretty tedious.
Correct grinding.
Drawing
also say it is not
drawing
fun.
is tedious.
It's
But
tedious.
like grinding is also tedious unto
Yeah.
itself. Like it's just
It is.
You could say it's a much more streamlined way of grinding levels. You're just sucking it all out. You just got to go find that cactus in the desert and suck all the
sucking
flair out of
whole
them.
game. Yeah.
And then you just attach that to
Your
Squall's
sword.
attack, and then you are owning things. It was just like
You're owning things until you run out, then you got to go do it again.
If
Well,
you know
I had so many stacks of flair. It was ridiculous. It was never a going issue.
Stacks of flair.
Stacks of stacks of flair. But it was like it was
Mad
really
fat
it's so different than anything else. Like it was like how do I even begin to engage with this system? So for me, it was really interesting to figure out how to best link my spells to my stats to get the most out of them, and then leverage that system to just start destroying things. Whereas, 9 is very straightforward, and I have to keep wearing old equipment that sucks.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing is that these 2 games got into the area of Final Fantasy where, you're starting to like attach to a certain character, like Corey, you were talking about. Not that you hate one, but you attach to a certain character you like, and you want to use them over and over. And maybe you do. Maybe it's because of their story. Maybe it's because of their ability. And I started doing that more with these 2 games, but that's limiting in some ways too, because sometimes ability outweighs the love of the character. So that's what makes this not a quick decision between.
I'd like to let our audience know that the online polling is a dead heat right now. So if you want to make your voice heard, please visit fatgatsby.com/MAGFest 2018 and register your vote.
I think that 9 has the more streamlined story between the 2. There's a lot of hands up, dude.
Yeah, Tim, wanna call on somebody?
No, you call on somebody. There's a shit apocalypse going on at my house right now.
Okay. Sir, you with the glasses. I don't believe you can. Yeah.
I just wanted to actually piggyback off of what you were saying. You actually never have to draw in that game. By leveling up your DS and whatnot, you can just refine magic from everything.
Oh, that's true.
Oh.
Supply everything you need.
That's true.
That's
That's a good
It's a
point.
potential, but you still have to go get it. Like consumable magic sucks.
It's a mini
always.
game.
Like it is, even if you can make it work and be like efficient, it is like another thing I've got to worry about, which is never fun.
You know what I
in the
did-
same way, like inventory management is never fun in the game, right?
Yeah.
Like they just can't ever make that.
You know what
something I
else
wanna engage
isn't
in.
fun? Boosting your summons during the cutscene.
Okay.
Basically MP. So, I mean, that's all it is. Pick your poison.
I don't know. I don't agree with that at all.
Oh man, there's so many hands. Let's get
Yeah, it's
Yes,
taunting
there.
people.
young lady. Yes. Yeah, you.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
8 has a really good soundtrack. Come on.
It does.
Oh yeah.
good.
No, there's a lot of yes.
Super lovable. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Not me anymore.
All right.
Yeah.
Yay.
Hang on. We're gonna have to wrap this one up and move on. Sorry, but so vote on. Let's see. We got who's for Final Fantasy 8? Yay! 9.
Whoa, it looks pretty even.
That's even.
Yeah, I said 8. You said what'd you say? There's no time to think, Darren.
Okay, I'm going with 9 for this.
9 for me.
I
as
thought you were
well.
just gonna say 4. All right, and the polling is.
It's fluctuated, but for the most part, and right now, Final Fantasy VIII takes it.
Oh,
Audience.
wow.
That was close.
I thought
Whole
9.
panel's out
really
of order.
close.
I thought 9 was gonna take that one.
Dude just leaves.
Wow. I know. You get,
All right, and our last.
All right, last matchup, Final Fantasy VII versus Final Fantasy III.
God, it's 7, please, right? I mean,
Yes.
right? Do we have to spend a lot of time on this one?
I
Yeah.
like 3, but it's definitely
I-
7.
I
and
really,
not close.
I really can't envision a scenario where 3 beats
All right,
7.
who's holding a torch for 3 in here? Anybody? Nobody?
I think they.
7? 3? All right, let's move on. 7. Let's just go. 7 moves on to the next round. That was like the most lopsided.
Yeah, that's
matchup.
crazy.
So what that means is that our third heat matchup is Final Fantasy
The
VI versus
semifinals.
Final Fantasy X. This is the semifinal round.
All right. All you people that love 10 over 12.
I was going to say, I'm curious to see how voting
Are
goes.
you all still here to go to bat for it against Final Fantasy VI?
Shit.
I know I'm not.
All right. We'll see how much Blitzball is important to people now.
Oh, Blitzball is very fun.
Okay.
I like Blitzball.
Is that your launching point for this?
No, Final Fantasy VI should win because it's an incredible game. but that doesn't mean I can't enjoy a little Blitzball on the side.
That's fair. That's fair.
If you put Blitzball into Final Fantasy VI, it would be,
It'd
the
be
best,
even better.
the
It'd
best
be so
piece of
good.
media ever created.
Yeah. Meryl already does
Yeah.
that with the other characters,
He
really.
plays Blitzball with them.
After the world's all fucked up by Kefka, there's just a big floating sphere in the middle. You're
All
like,
right,
what's
all right.
this?
Well, up here, I'm
gonna hack
feeling
it
like
in.
we're all on the side of 6.
Yeah.
Who out there would argue for 10 over 6?
We got 10,
Here, all right, there.
Go
The hand
for it.
slowly raises.
10 fan over 6.
I love both games. What I love about 10 is the battle because it's so fast paced. It's very
Yeah.
6, part of it is too many characters, and also like if you want to see some more magic, you have to,
A lot of grinding.
you can grind a little bit. So that's a little bit to deal with. I think the bad voice acting lends to its charm a little bit.
Not a ton of games in general had voice acting at that point, really.
And I thought actually Seymour is one of the few villains who actually,
Has-
understand why he was the way he was.
Come on, I want to see more Guado.
Look
Yeah.
like big, strong hands. Yeah. Yep. Some of them wouldn't stay away from you. Yeah. Okay. So
All
those are
right.
points pro 10 over 6. You have a comment?
I just wanted to piggyback off what he was saying on the voice acting.
Uh-huh.
Apparently everyone likes it enough to make Titus Fantasy 10 a thing. I'm just saying.
Right. There is that music video. It's true.
Soundtrack.
It's the soundtrack. Sorry. You're right. Yes, it's the whole soundtrack. Okay.
Oh, no, this isn't hard.
I don't
Don't
think
see
this
you
is
there to
hard.
struggle, Darren. Yeah, no, it's 6.
Up here
The
on the
story and
panel.
world of
Yeah,
6,
for 6.
the
Who votes
characters.
for 10?
It's
I
like, well,
think-
I mean, I want to give 10 some props.
10
Like,
is-
I
10
think
is
it's
a
a lot
fine-
of fun.
10
I
is a fine
really enjoyed
game.
playing through it.
But
I
I
like
think
the battle
those
system.
moments in hit 6 hit most people harder. Celeste jumping off a bird.
Tonality
Cliff
wise,
jumping
How
off a
scary
cliff.
Kefka is. I don't know. Like I really like that game.
I like Kefka as a villain. He's
if
one
you
of my
look at the
favorites.
Yeah, Kefka rules.
if
What's
you look
that?
at the
Dancing
characters
Mad,
and the story,
Dancing
He's
Mad.
crazy, makes him so scary, and he ties into the world.
There's a whole essay online how Dancing Mad perfectly sums up his character and that battle and his battle with himself. I thought it was an interesting read. Yeah, I would make that argument, absolutely. Yeah.
You
I
get
love
to
that.
use all those characters.
Use all the characters. Choose wisely. A lot of backtracking. if
Hope
you
you've been
screw up.
leveling around.
Yeah, yeah, you had to spread the love or else you're in trouble.
Fight a lot of dinosaurs.
You
Gotta fight a
do
lot of
fight a lot of
dinosaurs.
dinosaurs. What is it with dinosaurs being towards the end of these games? Is
Dude, they're dinosaurs.
Oh, okay, all right.
they're the toughest animals. They're dinosaurs.
How's it looking, Dave?
Yeah, the online polling is pretty firmly with 67% of the vote for Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very good.
Sorry,
Terra-
Ted. Not sorry.
I've got faith back in the
Sorry,
audience. This is
Robert.
good.
That means our second semifinal matchup is Final Fantasy VII versus 8.
Hey there.
Okay.
The best of the PlayStations.
That's right. That's right. Best of the
This is tough because both
I
these
can't
games
get a
have
emo
what?
protagonist.
Yeah.
I don't know. Both these games kind of have similar problems. to me, that like, they've
Yeah, the
aged.
facial
they haven't
expression.
aged great. Yeah, like they're in a tough time in terms of like where game development was in terms of its graphics. Still very early polygonal stuff. They both have weird stories. They
Yes.
both, I think, have problems with their battle systems. But
I think you'd find more. I feel like you'd find more 7 fans.
But
more
I
7
want to
Yes.
say,
supporters.
which one has a better card game? Oh wait, 7 doesn't have a card
Yeah.
game. Oh no, it can't compete.
But
oh
it has-
no,
but it has-
It just lost.
It's
It's
got
got-
a whole golden saucer.
So it's
It
got
does.
chocobo
It does have
racing.
chocobo
Go
racing.
snowboarding.
Yeah. You ride a motorcycle.
There's
yeah,
a
come
submarine
It
mini
has
game.
it has some hot mini games. Yes,
Yeah. There's that
on. Cloud
friggin'
for sure.
but the thing is, in Final
There's
Fantasy
that-
VIII, the entire world is your golden saucer because you just walk up and hit square. There's a
Wow.
button to play cards against anybody everywhere, even in like other dimensions at the end of time.
Yeah, some people call that a gambling problem. But they had that honeybee lounge in 7. There's a lot of little racy stuff in 7. Yeah, absolutely. It's ahead of its time.
Exactly.
Cross-dressing, right?
That's super fun.
If you are just joining us here at our panel, I'm going to go ahead and put the website where you can vote. This is not the current matchup we're arguing, but you can see the website. If you would like to vote for Final Fantasy VII versus Final Fantasy VIII, please follow the link at fatgatsby.com/MAGFest2018 and vote for your favorite Final Fantasy VII versus Final Fantasy VIII.
There's a nice PSA from Dave there.
I think I had more fun accumulating everything in 7 that I did in 8.
Yeah, hunting for those end game materia and stuff.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was really fun.
That's fair. Yeah, no, there's a lot of fun side quests at the end of.
Get Knights of
Like
the
what
Round.
somebody
But
mentioned.
there's a lot of materials to hunt down. I enjoyed hunting down the materials in Final Fantasy.
What you did
like,
with-
for the ultimate weapons. And
Yeah,
stuff.
and combining the 2 comments that you made about the items being available and Triple Triads, that some of those cards could be, you needed to repurpose them to have items for final weapons. Things like that got tedious for me in 8.
Yeah.
In 8, because you had to fire the gun right when the sword hit the enemy. Yeah, you hit
Yeah.
that R1 button.
I wish they'd done more than just that one thing.
Quick time events before quick time event. Yes.
Does anyone in the audience feel extremely passionately that Final Fantasy VII obviously wins this matchup? Yeah?
No.
And what
feels
about
close.
what about 8? Oh my God!
Oh man.
Wow!
How's
I
the
did
voting
not
going?
expect that. I did not expect it.
Well, let's
Sorry, I'm
let's
dealing
vote
with
up
things.
here on the panel.
All right.
Jay,
I'll go 7.
I will also say 7.
I would say 8.
Yes.
I guess I would say 7. But the audience response, I got to tell you, folks, I'm pretty surprised.
Oh no.
66% vote for Final Fantasy VIII. In a
This is going to
fairly
make this next part
stunning
real
upset.
easy then.
Did you know that your boy Jeremy Parrish put that at the top of his Final Fantasy rankings recently?
Did he?
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what? I'm loading some new responses right now. So
what
I
is
just,
this?
Yeah, everybody vote.
Come
Let's just
on. Get
let's
your
all take
hand
our
off the
time.
scales, Ottavino.
I'm having some connection issues, so I want to make sure
Oh,
the audience is being
connection
well
issues.
represented here.
That's right. The true.
Hang on. While he's doing that, did you do the casual while I wasn't paying attention for a second? What? Just asking. Did you do that?
I did.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember. Okay, come on.
This is accurate. It's Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah, it is. It's accurate.
Wow.
Final Fantasy VIII. All right.
Wow.
Man,
So this is going to make this next part real easy. Right?
this guy's leaving.
Yeah, this is. Bye. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for coming.
See,
Sorry.
everyone leaves the room angry.
Sephiroth.
All right, so our final. There, Dave's doing it up now.
6
yeah.
versus 8.
Okay.
But yeah, we have Final Fantasy VI versus Final Fantasy VIII.
Is this
Yes.
the final?
So, okay,
This is the final.
let's
time?
look at which game has the best card game. It's
Are you
8.
going to argue for 8 over 6?
No, I'm
Okay,
not.
thanks.
But
Oh.
man, is Triple Triad really
Is
fun.
that your
No,
criteria for a JRPG?
It's my criteria for why Final Fantasy VIII is good. My main criteria.
Good God. All right.
Yeah, no, I didn't think this is where we were going to end up.
No.
No.
With this one.
I think.
I want to hear from folks that
Okay, yes, yeah.
that have 8 over 6 in this final.
There's a couple hands.
Oh,
Oh.
I want to hear from you. Are you ready to speak, Robert? Are you're just like there, like, eh. All right, we got some time on this one, so we can get around to people. All right, let's hear it. Let's get some lively debate in here. Robert, go. If you hadn't said specific things
It's
regarding
available in the
8 there,
dealer.
I think you were talking about 6.
I was going to say, yeah, 8's. I don't
I know.
I
Fair
don't
enough.
disagree with any of that, but
Yeah,
6's
yeah.
world is incredibly fully realized too. Like the history with the Magi and like all the magic stuff coming back, how it fits into Kafka being crazy.
They built a history,
They
yeah.
built a really rich history of it and make use
And
of
then
it
they
the whole
destroyed
time.
it.
And then
They did.
blew it
Yeah.
all up. Right.
Yes, Mahoney.
They had to get out of their control.
What? So I want to argue.
It's a gravity summon.
I want to argue.
So, the
Wow, the gravity shade. It's like, wow, it's
percentage
gravity.
away.
What are
It
you
doesn't
doing?
kill things. All right, so While you're talking, one thing I thought of, and when I compare these two, is how straightforward the character roles in 8 are. That's not a bad thing. But in 6, I don't know if it's a complaint or a compliment, but how the idea that there is no clear main character in the cast of 6, and people have gone to lengths to percentage-wise measure how much dialogue is allotted to which character. I think Kefka comes out with most dialogue in the game out of all the characters. I think that makes the game more interesting, really. But it doesn't. I think it can be harder for people to zone in and like, okay, who am I? Who's my lead protagonist? Who am I identifying with in this game? And then that one, it's kind of you pick your favorite and you go with them. Couple of hands. Yes, you.
Jump up what you're saying. My pick for 8 is that Squall is the best character in the Final Fantasy series. He's the most fully realized character. He has a motive, like he's a real person. What? He doesn't just fight to fight. He's not like Zidane or whatever, this sports guy who'll just like jump into the fray.
He's got a tail.
Squall is not a real person. He needs motivation. He's a moody teenager and he acts like it. And
As a former moody teenager, I did connect with that.
as I would say, 6 has the best Final Legend, 8 has the second best Final Legend.
Ultimacy is
Guys, there's something that I've been wanting, something that hasn't come up that I want to push back against a little bit, and that is how the advances in technology affect Final Fantasy storytelling. I want to get one thing out of the way right now. Final Fantasy storytelling is goofy and silly. They are fantasy narratives with that weird mix of technology that is so very particularly Japanese, and I think that is why it appeals to so many of us. That's part of the appeal, but in order for that to work, in order for there to be a tonal cohesion to the narrative, sprites serve that shit better. The more realistic the graphics get, the more I feel there is a tonal disconnect between seeing very realistic looking people engaging, doing silly fantasy adventure things in a silly, goofy, weird fantasy adventure world. Sprites, cartoony graphics fit that. There's a better tonal match. That's why it is so obvious for me that this is 6. And that's
Dave likes sprites. We have another hand.
Yeah.
Oh, over there. Yes.
But Celeste
I
becomes
think
so
that-
important in the back half.
Right, but I do kind of agree with that point of like the way they introduced magic in that game. It's like it's so special. Terra's infused
Right, it was-
with
it was just
Kefka's
mythology
infused.
before.
Oh my God, you can use magic. Then all of a sudden, you get magic, and you get magic, and everybody gets me. Look under your
I think
chairs.
that's a great point, but I actually take it the opposite way, is that when everyone can get magic, then it's that their in-battle abilities become less important, and
Right.
their narrative arcs actually become more important.
The
Yeah,
tools
I
are
still,
great.
I still
Yeah,
primarily
Edgar is
focused
a
on.
fucking madman. Yes.
I still, even with everyone being able to learn magic, I still mostly relied on their built-in skills
Yeah,
that made them
cyan.
unique more than just like, I'm going to make everybody a super mage and everyone's just going to throw
Right.
mage magic everywhere. It's like, I gave most of the magic to, like Realm
course.
and Celeste and
Yeah,
Terra
and the only
Strago.
thing I think you and I've argued about that in the past is sometimes in the latter part of the World of Ruin, magic is like the thing that hurts everything the most. But you can still make it work. Like
yeah,
Shadow
no, it's
is
fine.
still
It's not
fucking
like hard. But yeah, that's me.
Another hand.
yes.
Yes, sir.
That's true.
How'd you feel about the Laguna, parallel story? Yeah. That's how I felt when I first played it. Yeah. Oh, wow. And it's got a card game.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, if you categorize
All right.
things, I would give the edge to 6.
Corey.
It is, yes, yeah.
Such like a more impact from the exist than anything else because you get them from creatures who essentially give up their life to begin to fight.
Right.
We're dying, but we're going to give you our powers so that you can prevent more of this from happening and save others of our kind. I'm like, oh, holy shit, I just became responsible for so much.
It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure.
Wow, this whole system of magic just got heavy.
Yeah. There's a lot of heartstring moments.
Yeah, you have to take control of all these
In this
ghosts.
game.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah, it's
that's
very
why.
That's why he's not even
All
Yeah.
of the characters of like 6 grow in the span of the beginning of the game.
except tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah, Mahoney. Is that the real thing that disturbs you about 6? Is that you learn your magic from like ghosts?
Now it does.
All right. Just a couple more
right,
comments, then we're gonna wrap this up
Couple
here.
hands.
Yeah. True.
Oh, that
Multiple
is true.
Moogles.
Moogles are amazing.
Moogle suits.
Moogle on the box.
Is this a joke or like they
No,
walk
no,
into
they
a
don't
bar?
really have character arcs.
A Moogle, a Mimic,
Well, they're like
and a
some of the
Yeti.
most. Yeah. Those
And
are
stay there.
some of the.
These
Well,
are
you
good
know,
arguments.
well, yeah, I'm like out of the yeah. Those 3 are the most superfluous characters in that game.
Yeah, those.
And they're optional to
Oh,
I like Gao.
yeah. Let's not get into a Gao conversation right now. You're like
A
Gao's
Gao
biggest
versation.
fan.
Dude, Gao is awesome. I don't know what you're talking
In
about.
the world of balance,
Free meteor every freaking
that
round.
that causes 1,000 damage.
Dude, whatever. It does more than that. You just didn't build them right. You shut up.
2,000.
All right, temperature of this room. All right, so Final Fantasy 8. Final Fantasy 6.
6.
And then what do the numbers say,
and
Dave?
folks, by a large margin, it's Final
Fantasy 6.
Boy.
I'm happy with that.
Final Fantasy
Everyone's
VI
so mad.
is your winner of the Fat Gatsby Grudge match.
Don't be angry.
Yeah, so guys, thanks for coming out. Check out fatgatsby.com for more podcasts and arguments of this nature. And we'll see you next year.
Good night.
Thanks, everybody.